So this lesson is going to be very, very extensive to us, and we're going to need your patience so that we can finish what we have prepared for this lesson, and then we will go into the coming weeks in the next few days with the furtherance of the lesson. Very important lesson, very powerful lesson that we're speaking of. It not only speaks of our spiritual man, but it speaks of our behavior and our psyche. For tonight, the topic is loneliness. The question was asked concerning loneliness, and we're going to discuss that just briefly tonight. As I said, this is a very extensive lesson. It covers a lot of ground. We will do the best we can with the time allotted, and then we will come back with more information and scripture with this, or rather concerning this topic. There is an epidemic of loneliness here in the Americas. There is an epidemic. There's a crisis emerging that seems likely to pose as grave a threat to public health as obesity or maybe even substance abuse. And it's called, in its proper form, social isolation. Neuroscientists have identified regions of the brain that respond to loneliness. And a powerful body of research shows that lonely people are more likely to become ill, experience cognitive decline, and die early. Across the industrialized world, millions of people live with sparse human contact, putting their well-being at risk as they put new pressures on health and social service systems. Is there a way out? Is there help for us? What things can we do? How can we treat this condition? Well, we have to first, even as Christians, recognize that it is a condition. Let me say and share from what I've learned in research. Loneliness can seem to be normal. That's a weird statement, a broad statement, but it can be normal. It is only an indicator of underlying disease when feelings become excessive, all-consuming, and those feelings interfere, or that loneliness interferes with daily living. Loneliness can bring strong emotions of isolation, separation, and abandonment. Loneliness often also includes a desire to be accepted and understood by others. I need everyone to mute their devices. I'm hearing background noise. Please mute your device. According to Elizabeth Bernstein's Wall Street Journal piece, an editorial that was written, it's called Alone or Lonely. The rate of loneliness in the United States alone has doubled over the past 30 years. About 40% of Americans report being lonely. In the 1980s, it was only 20%. I don't have all the stats, but it is speculated that more people live alone now than ever before because of certain reason, economic, social. More people are alone now than ever before. There are absentee fathers or parents in homes, single parent homes, abandoned children, elderly have been abandoned by their families. The increase of people being isolated and feeling lonely has increased tremendously. I want to share with you the bad thing about this is that loneliness brings fear. One of the greatest fears that humankind has, one of the greatest fears imaginable, is the fear of being alone. This is because we were designed for relationships. And I'll bring that thought up in a few minutes. We were, in fact, ultimately designed for a relationship with our Creator, with God. To find out what it means to be truly known by God and know that you are not alone, we have to go into Scripture to find out that we have a Creator, a God, a Supreme One who loves us and wants a relationship with us. Before we get into the spiritual aspect, we're going to talk about some of the psychological and behavioral aspects, because there is much to the spiritual aspect, even dealing with seducing spirits, unclean spirits, sometimes even that which would be classified as witchcraft. So I'm going to go into the behavioral and psychological side. And no, I'm not a psychologist, but we have done research. I have read research, taking psych courses. These are very core elements of behavior and behavioral science that all leaders need to embrace and understand so that we could teach properly. We can embrace what's going on. Everything is not happy, happy, jolly, jolly, holy, holy, hallelujah. We need to hit the core of matters with abuse. We need to hit the core of matters with depression and loneliness. And we have the remedies and the cures if we approach it properly. We first have to acknowledge that there is a condition, but God is the ultimate solver of all conditions, the ultimate healer. He has the ability to not only prescribe what is the remedy, but he diagnoses every case, and he knows every case as it is, and he's the only one that can handle every case. So speaking of this topic, loneliness, we need to then see, are there any things we could do? For it is necessary for us to want to help ourselves. Are there any self-treatments? Are there any things that we could do? And I'm not talking scripturally, biblically, theologically. I'm talking about from our behavior and our psychological standpoints. Well, the first thing is those that are lonely need to accept that they're feeling lonely. And before it becomes a major problem, they need to see what self-treatment they can do. Volunteering is one of the suggestions that's given. What do you mean volunteering? Giving of yourself, attending communities, community events, attending religious events, taking classes where there's people, the way you can form new friendships and reduce loneliness. Get a friend and go for a meal, or have a coffee or a tea with someone. Go for a walk with a family. Reconnect with a family member that you haven't connected with in a long time. Write a letter. Get on your social media and talk to your family, not just strangers, but your family. Get a friend who may also feel they want to get out and walk and go take care of yourself. Get out in the fresh air. Get out in God's atmosphere. It will do wonders for an individual to just get out of the house. Take some time to walk and see the creation of God. Talk to people. See what God is doing. Speak to the atmosphere. Ask a friend to walk with you. It's healthy, both physically and mentally. Like I said, take a proper meal, plan something, plan an event yourself, and then invite others to be a part of it. It doesn't have to be your birthday. It doesn't have to be an anniversary. It doesn't have to be any special day. Make it a special day. And those are some things that has been suggested as self-treatment. Then, if it's very, very detrimental, then what we need to do is seek proper counsel or proper medical care. So you make an appointment to see your doctor. Don't just go to the emergency room. I'm lonely. No, make an appointment to see your doctor. For if you feel sad for several weeks or longer, it is not necessarily a behavioral problem. It could be a chemical imbalance. It could be something else going on. So go make an appointment to see your doctor. Even speaking to the doctor and the nurse would be a help to you. If you have no interest in activities that once you took joy in, yes, that's time to seek medical help. Maybe your energy level is low. Maybe you need vitamins. Maybe there's something going on in your physical makeup that you need to be made aware of. If you're unable to sleep, if you don't enjoy the daytime, or if you seem to be excessively tired, that's when you need to see if there is something medically wrong. And don't just take the first diagnosis. If this is an ongoing situation, tell them to keep looking. Ask them to keep investigating, keep searching, so that you will know what is going on. Now, God forbid, if there's anyone on this line that is or knows someone that is suicidal, we need to reach out to them and get help immediately. Yes, we are spiritual people. Yes, we believe in the power of God, but we are also first responders. These things must be reported. We believe in the power of prayer, and we are going to pray people through, but we also must respond properly. And I want everyone to get this. If there's anyone that's suicidal, I know we try to keep things in confidence, but some things need to be reported. Some things need to be taken to the next level and to the next step, because we are not suicide counselors. Even though we have a word of life in our mouth, we are not clinical psychologists. We're not qualified. Now, maybe some of you are, but most of us on the line are not clinicians. We are not qualified clinically, psychologically, with the proper degrees to do that type of counseling. I'm not saying do not pray. I'm not saying do not take their name to God in prayer, because God knows how to change the mind, heart, soul, and body. But it is our job as a first responder, a religious person, to send an alert. Let it be known. Loneliness is one of the indicators, and if it's excessive, a person can feel so alone and so desperate and so fearful that they think it's better to end life than to continue on. It is our job to bring happiness and joy to their life with reporting to the proper authorities and following up as a person in the church with prayer. With prayer, even if you're not a chaplain or an elder or a deacon or the bishop or any title, it is still, as a Christian, our responsibility to follow up with prayer and make sure that people's lives are made better. Now, it's stated one key, maybe even the key, and I'm talking about the psychological, behavioral side, not spiritual. I made mention of the spirit, but we're not there yet. One key, maybe the key to happiness is strong connections to other people. Strong connections. Strong connections. Those that teach happiness, those clinicians that teach people joy and bliss, they say to be happy, we need intimate bonds. We need intimate, and when I say that, I'm not talking about go falling in somebody's arms to find sex. That's not what I'm talking about. We need to have bonds with individuals where we can talk, they can talk to us, we can laugh, and it's nothing evil or sinful about it. There are no ulterior motives. Clean, good, happy fun. We need to be able to confide. We need to feel like we belong. Most of the time, this will be found with family and church family. And again, I'm just going along. I'm not trying to bring the spiritual side in yet, but I do want to make mention of it. We need to get around friends. We need to get around family. We need to be able to get and give support. Let me say that again. We need to be able to get or receive and give support. In fact, strong relationships are key. Strong relationships. And again, clinicians say this is perhaps the key to a happy life. Strong relationships. Everybody may not be married, but you can have a strong bond with your parent. You can have a strong bond with a brother or sister. You can have a strong bond with a cousin. You can have a strong bond with other family members. You can have a strong bond with a friend, a co-worker. It's nothing wrong with that as long, for a Christian, here come the Christian side, as long as we're not doing something we should not be doing. Intimacy doesn't mean sexuality. Intimacy means somebody I can talk to, I can confide in. I know a secret about them and they know a secret about me. And we could talk about it, but we're not going to tell everybody else all that business. All right. I'll come to that again because I don't want husband and wives breaking up, saying, well, they're my friend, I can tell them anything, and you haven't told your spouse anything. No, that's not wise. That's not wisdom. And that will cause more confusion and loneliness than we're talking about now. All right? So I want us to get this balance properly. Communicate with your spouse. Communicate with your spouse. Communicate with your spouse. But it is not sin or wrong to have a friend. Most of the time, males will have male friends. Female will have female friends. If you have a strong marriage, you may have male or female friends. But be very careful in your behavior. Be very careful. And I have to step over to the Christian side for a moment, because Satan would love to cause ruination in a life by crossing barriers. We need to know our boundaries. We need to know how far to go. And we need to give confidence to our spouse that nothing is going on with the male or female friend. We need to give them confidence to know that. If that's a problem, it's better to have the spouse go with you with that friend, rather than cause ruination in a marriage. I'm just helping you out. All right, now let me go back to the behavioral and clinical side. Of course, being alone and being lonely are not the same. Being alone and being lonely are not the same. Loneliness, being lonely, Loneliness, being lonely, drains you, distracts you, it upsets you, it causes confusion, it bears your emotions, causes you to be raw about situations, upsetting in circumstances. That's loneliness, being lonely. But just being alone, solitude. Every now and then we need some solitude for our own peace of mind. Be quiet. And here I go again to the Christian side, the spiritual side. Every now and then we need some solitude just to talk to the Lord and let the Lord talk to us. This would come in what we call prayer and fasting, communicating with the Lord, consecrating. This is when we will have our quiet time, our solitude. And desired solitude, if it's done properly, it will produce peace. It will help you be restored. For this type of solitude is restorative. It's also creative. Because if the Lord speaks to you, he will show you how to do things you were frustrated in doing prior in your life. He will show you the things that you need to do better. Now, let's continue on. Not everyone experiences loneliness in the same situations or in the same ways. For example, as I've been stating earlier, not everyone wants a romantic partner, wants a spouse. They're happy being by themselves without a spouse, but they still say, I would like to have a friend. And not a friend for unrighteous reasons, just a friend. There's some people that need a spouse. And those, I would say, to the brothers, look for a spouse. Not another man's wife. Find one that is not married. There's plenty out there. Plenty good women out there. If you desire a wife, go find a wife. And those ladies that are out there that are single, those married ladies, don't look for something else. Make what you have better. But those single ladies, live as a lady should. And according to the Christian standards, the Lord will provide an individual, a nice man, a good man, that will find you in the right position, in the right place, in the right category of God, where they will see you and you only and want you to be their wife. Those are the things that can happen, but not everyone desired these types of things. So what it is that you need to embrace the truth of what you need. Once we've pinpointed the particular kind of loneliness we're experiencing, it may be easier to spot ways to address it. Now, again, I've received some of this information from some of the people that I know and work with. And one individual said there are 7. I spoke to a couple. They gave me 3 different kinds. This one said there are 7 different types of loneliness that they've found in research. And so I'm going to give them to you so that you could understand them, hear them. Maybe some of us may even fall in these categories, but there are remedies for all of these. And again, I haven't gone to the spiritual side yet. Number 1, new situation loneliness. Move to a new city. Don't know too many people. Starting a new job. Going to a new school. Started in a new community. joined a new church, unfamiliar with family, new family, unfamiliar with. A lot of people may be around, but you're not connected to them, so you feel lonely. That's called new situation loneliness. Number two, we'll come to them all to show you there are situations and conditions that will help you out. Number two, it's called the I am different loneliness. Again, in a place that's not familiar. You feel different from everybody else in the way that you feel isolated. Maybe even in church. Your faith is really important to you, but the people around you aren't up to your measure of faith. Or it could be vice versa. You may not be up to the measure or level of their faith. In other scenarios, maybe everyone around you loves doing things outdoors, outdoor activities. You don't want to go outdoors. Or vice versa, you're very energetic. You like going outdoors. People around you want to stay inside. You feel lonely. It feels hard to connect with others about the things you find important and may not be important to them. Or maybe you just hit with loneliness that comes to humankind every now and then. And when I say to humankind, at one point, every human has a moment of loneliness. Most of the time, humankind can get over it. It's just a passing moment. Our parents passed. We feel lonely. They're gone. We feel the pain of their absence. I'm not saying it ever goes away. What I'm saying is we grow with it and learn how to handle it. It's a part of humanity. It's a part of the human condition to feel loneliness every now and then, but we don't dwell in it. We do not dwell in it. To dwell in it is hurtful. To dwell in it is damaging. To dwell in it causes physical sickness, mental distress, and spiritual, those of us that are in the church, spiritual unrest. All right, let me go to number 3 before I get carried away with that. Number 3, this is called the no sweetheart loneliness. Even if you have lots of family and friends, you can still feel lonely because you don't have that intimate attachment in your life. And this goes for those that are married, husband and wife, as well as those that want to have boyfriend and girlfriend, want to have an intimate partner, want to be connected with somebody. It crosses all of those barriers, all of those boundaries, because every now and then we want attention. And we want the attention of the one we think should give us attention. And if we're not careful, if we don't get the attention we want, something triggers in our brain and we start down the path of loneliness. It's not intentional. It's not something that was planned. It does happen. You could have your spouse or a partner or a friend or a family member that is connected to you, and you may feel deeply connected to them, and they may not feel as deeply connected as you want them to, as you want them to be. Notice what I'm saying. And that will bring on loneliness because we're looking at it from our perspective. It's called the no sweetheart loneliness. It affects our heart and our emotions. This next one might make some of you laugh. And it is a clinical condition. I got this from researchers. It's called no animal loneliness. What does that mean? I don't have my pet. I don't have a dog. I don't have a cat. The canary died. My pet turtle died. My lizard got away. My rat run away. My fish fell down the toilet. Pet. No animal loneliness. It seems strange, but many people have a deep need to connect with animals. They're animal lovers. They love their pets. Now, please don't get offended, but if this describes you and you're sustained by these relationships in a way that human relationships don't replace or don't sustain you, please, by all means, get Rover. Get the cat, whatever, get Felix, whatever you need, get the fish, you can go get Jaws if you want. Whatever you need, please go do it. For this is a real condition. Now, I'm sounding facetious, but I'm very serious. All right? Rather than live in depression, rather than go through this loneliness, sometimes we need to do these things just to alleviate the pressure and this feeling. Number 5 is no time for me loneliness. These are real clinical research topics. No time for me loneliness. We could be surrounded by people who seem friendly. We could be on the job. We can be with family. We could be in the church. We could be connected with others. And it just seems like maybe they're too busy. And we want all the time for ourselves. Take out time for me. And we want somebody to go with us to the mall, then go to the hairdresser. And we want somebody to go with us to the ball game. And we want somebody to go with us when we buy a new suit and see how this tie look. And we want somebody to go with us when we get our nails done. And maybe people are busy. And that brings on this mentality, this mantra. Nobody has time for me. I go out of my way and I go out, I do this. And whenever they call me, I'm there for them. If this is you, we have some remedies for you. But if this is you, you need to think about what I'm saying. Think about what I'm saying. For there is a way up and a way out. Let me continue on so I can get to the answers to this clinical side. There's also number 6, which is called untrustworthy friends loneliness. And this is when we begin to doubt whether our friends or our loved ones or our family or our co-workers are dependable. Are they really well-intentioned? Do they mean what they say? Are they kind? Are they helpful? Or is it just a show? Can I really trust them? I've been hurt before. Can I really trust them? And I'll get to that in a few minutes. These researchers have made a broad statement. I'm going to share this at this point with you. Most of them say an important element of friendship to alleviate loneliness. I want you to hear it good. An important element of friendship to alleviate loneliness is the ability to confide and trust in others. I'll say it one last time. An important element of friendship to alleviate loneliness is the ability to confide and trust in others. And the statement is, if that is missing, and that's one of the key elements, if that is missing, even if a person seems to have fun at times with people, friends, family, social circles, wherever they may be, whomever it may be, they may seem to have fun. But if trust and confidence is missing, that person ultimately is going to fall into that area of loneliness. So we need to build ourselves up. Build ourselves up. I'm going to give you a few things in a few minutes to help us. Seventh and last clinical statement and reasoning. It's called the quiet presence loneliness. Sometimes we could feel lonely because we miss having someone else's quiet presence around us. What do you mean, Bishop? Well, we may be active ourselves, whether at work, whether in a social circle, whether at church, whether with family, plenty of friends, whomever it may be, but we miss that one person, that someone to be with us just in quiet time. Most of the time, this applies to, from what the researcher says, most of the time this applies to people who are married. Most of the time, this applies to people who are married. We just miss that person that's next to us. That person don't have to say a word, but if their presence is there, fixing a cup of coffee or tea, if they're just in the next room humming or looking at TV or reading a book, maybe sitting on the sofa, with some of the young people playing games, some of the more matured who are married, just sitting together, looking at TV or reading a book or going over some notes, even if it's just sitting there looking at mail, going over bills. It's just someone there playing a game. Just someone. It's called quiet presence loneliness. And again, most of the time this applies to married couples. We just look for that person to be there. We miss them when they're not around. They don't have to do a lot of talking, just be there. If I hear their slippers scuffing across the floor, if I hear the oven, if I hear the water in the faucet, just as long as I know they're there, but I miss that when I don't hear it. That's called the quiet presence loneliness. All right, now let's go into how we can address this loneliness. And again, these are things from researchers. I haven't gone into spiritual side yet. This is from researchers, things they suggest that we do. So I received this, and they said what we need to do is pick up some habits. And I was sent 5 habits for your consideration to combat loneliness. Notice what I'm saying. 5 habits to consider to combat. You have to fight loneliness. You can't just wave it off. You must fight loneliness. So these are some things that I'm going to share with you in the next few minutes to fight loneliness. Number 1, make a habit of nurturing others. What does that mean? Offer to take care of the neighbor's children once in a while. Offer to go see about someone elderly once in a while. Offer to sponsor or be a volunteer of something in the community once in a while. If you have the ability, offer to teach a class. If you have the ability, offer your talents to others. Offer someone to walk a dog or watch their dog. And this is one of the keys. It's stated, giving support to others helps create a feeling of connection. For happiness, generally, it's just as important to give support as it is to get support. Don't be so needy that you need it all and you can't give it. The general statement for happiness is the ability to give support, just like you get support. Let me move on. Number 2. These are habits, practices, things that you're going to do continually. Make a habit of connecting with other people. Show up at the office early and try and talk to a coworker. Share something during coffee hour. Start a chat group if you happen to be at work. Start one with your family. Even if you have to call on the phone or get on social media, start a chat group. Join a book club. Talk about a sewing circle, depending on your area, your age, who you can interact with. Have a nail party, ladies. Brothers, get together and talk about sports. Sign up for an exercise class. Take a minute each morning to speak to your neighbor. Talk to the coworker. See if there's a new assignment from your boss. Get connected. But again, make it a habit. A habit is something that we practice every day. Every day. And this is the key to alleviating, combating loneliness. You can't just practice something now and leave it later. This is necessary to be done every day. Make a habit of connecting with other people and then stay connected. I'll cover that in a minute also. Make a habit of getting, Lord help us, better sleep. For most of us don't sleep properly. One of the most common indicators of loneliness is broken sleep, researchers say. Taking a long time to fall asleep. We're sleepless, restless. Then we wake out of sleep frequently when we do go to sleep. Then we feel sleepy during the day when we're supposed to be up and taking care of business. We suffer sleep deprivation. And sleep deprivation under any circumstances bring down people's moods and make them more likely to get sick. And it dampens their energy. So it's important to tackle this issue. Get more rest. Get better sleep. Stop worrying about everything because we can't fix it anyway. Go to sleep. Practice. Make a habit of going to sleep. And no, we don't need pills to make us go to sleep. No, we don't need intoxicants to make us go to sleep. We need to stop being crazy and go to sleep. If we get up in the day, take care of our business, be properly energized during the day. And again, remember, if you're losing energy, then you need to go talk to your doctor. All of this is practice. For if you do what you're supposed to do in the daytime, when the evening time comes, you will go to sleep. And vice versa. If a person has a night job, they will sleep during the day. They need to sleep through, get full rest. Otherwise, we can become victims of depression, mood swings, and loneliness. Let me go to number 4. Time is getting late. Make a habit, and this is very important. Star this one. Make a habit of staying open. What is it, Lord? What are you talking about, Bishop? Negative emotions like jealousy, envy, and guilt have an important role to play in a happy life. They're big flashing signs that something needs to change. The pain of loneliness can push you to connect with other people, but these negative emotions won't allow you to. That was good. Let me say it again. The pain of loneliness can push you to connect with other people, but these negative emotions will not allow you to. You need to make a habit of staying open. What do you mean, stay open? We need to be willing to accept people as they are. Let me give you the facts of what is going on, because what I'm saying may seem counterintuitive. Loneliness itself can make people feel more negative, critical, and judgmental. Loneliness itself can make people, any individual, feel more negative, critical, and judgmental. It turns out lonely people are far less accepting of potential new friends than people who are not lonely. Lonely people say they want friends, they want companionship, but most of the time, the stats show, lonely people push people away because they're not trusting. They are in their own moods and attitudes. They're very negative, critical, and judgmental. But again, these are warning signs that something needs to change. If we recognize that this is affecting us in any way, there are steps to be taken to combat it and counter it. We need to learn to accept others even as we want to be accepted. Humankind are flawed. Individuals have issues, circumstances, and are flawed. Once we understand that people are as scarred and as flawed as we are, we can connect. We need to find commonality, common ground, something that will connect us, unite us, that we can talk about. We need to get past our hurts, our issues, and see that I can talk to them, be open with them, and not judge them as I don't want them to judge me. This is key. As I said, star this one. This will help us on our journey if we learn to stay open. I've been wounded, Bishop. Stay open. I've been hurt, Bishop. Stay open. Everybody's not going to hurt us. Everybody's not going to wound us. It's our judgment, it's our negativity that keeps seeing something in others that we believe to be there instead of having confidence that somebody will be my friend. All right, let me move on. Make a habit. Again, number 4, make a habit of staying open, a habit. Number 5, make a habit of asking yourself, what's missing in my life? If you're feeling lonely, any of us on this line, is it because we miss having a best friend? Is it because of our past life? Is it because of our childhood? Is it because we miss our parents or other family members who were so close to us? Or is it because we miss being a part of a group? We were left out when we were kids. We were left out when we were adults. We were ostracized or pushed away. What is missing? What is missing? Did I always seem to be the one isolated? Was I the strange one, the odd one? Did it seem like that to me? Am I missing a relationship, or did I have a sincere relationship? What am I missing? There are so many kinds of loneliness. It may be painful, and the clinicians say this thinking about it, this discussion about it could be painful to bring to memory, to bring to mind. But once we understand what we're missing, the area of our loneliness, it's easier to see how to address it, how to combat it, how to overcome it, so that we can be a happier person and live a happier life. Sometimes, even through the habits I made mention of, we can accomplish this. There are other ways, there are other means, but most of the time, if we develop good, healthy habits, as I made mention of, that was given to me by researchers, we can be successful in overcoming, combating, and alleviating our loneliness. Now, if we find it difficult to stick to a habit, as most of us do, we find it hard to be consistent. We find it hard to stick to it. We'll start on an exercise regimen, and by day 3, we're through. I'm done with that. Amen. We'll start trying to eat properly, and after a week, we're back to the same old things we're doing. We can develop good habits and stick to it. But for those of you that are having difficulty, let me share with you before I close, there are strategies that we can use to make or even break a habit. If you have a bad habit, you can break it. If you're not performing the good habit, you can be consistent with it. You can stick to it. It's not that hard to master a habit when you know what to do. And that's the key. It's not hard to master it when you know what to do. It'll become as second nature. Those of us that didn't know, brushing our teeth, no matter how much we say it's a physical, it's a hygienical situation, it's actually a habit. It's just something we do every day. We don't even think about it. It has become a good habit. We need to develop a good habit, and I'm going to go a little off center here, but we need to develop a good habit. Those of you that take medicine, of you that are on prescriptions, you need to make a good habit of practicing taking your medicine every day and never running out. You need to see the druggist, your pharmacist, whatever, your doctor, before you run out. You need to make a good habit of that. Oh, Bishop, don't bother us. Yeah, I need to say this. Because it's not just loneliness that is needs to be addressed. We need to address good habits. Once we master a habit, it's not hard to follow it. We know what to do. So I'm going to give you just a few keys. I'm going to give you some strategies. And this is not my doing. I've gotten this from researchers. I've gotten this from clinicians. One is called the strategy of scheduling. We don't know how to be time conscious at all. Lord, help us today. We're late. We'll go to work on time, but we're late for everything else. What do you mean late for everything else? We're late to start our Bible reading. We're late to start our services. We're late to get about our business. We're late to go mow the lawn. We're late to go walk the dog. We're late to any appointments. We need the strategy of scheduling. We need to schedule and make a habit of doing it on time. On time. At that time. At that time. At that time. Make a habit of it. Strategically outline and plan your day. And stick to that schedule. Stick to it. Stick to it. Make it a habit. Stick to it. When you know what to do, it's not hard to do it. Make a habit. Become a master of this. Strategy of scheduling. The next one is the strategy of monitoring. Not only do you need to strategize the time, but you need to monitor yourself and make sure that you're following through. Follow through, follow through, follow through. If you're doing a project, follow through the project. Get it accomplished. And get it accomplished by your goal date. Monitor yourself. How much did I get done today? Did I take my medicine properly today? Did I read my scripture today? Yeah, I'm going to go a little spiritual. Did I pray on time today? Did I pray through today? Did I speak to someone well today? Monitor yourself. Monitor. Be your own worst critic. Be honest with yourself. Master these habits. Third one is the strategy of convenience. Make things convenient for you. Know when it's right to go to the store. Not you have to run out because you run out. I hope y'all caught that. Make things convenient. Map things properly. If you're going on a journey, those of us that drive, it doesn't make sense to go A, B, and C and you miss the gas station. Make the gas station A and then make a proper route where you can go to all where you want to go, and it's planned properly at your convenience. Don't rush to cook, those of you that make meals. Make it at your convenience. This helps you with scheduling and monitoring. Once you develop good habits, you will see how convenient it is to do what you're doing. You will have more time in the day or evening to do some other things. Convenience. And if you've done all three of these, this one I like. When I saw this one, I said, yep, this is me. You could use the strategy of treats. The strategy of what, Bishop? The strategy of treats. Not only can you treat yourself to a sundae or a yogurt or an ice cream or a piece of cake or a piece of pie or a cookie or whatever it is you like, a parfait, a jello, cookies and milk, whatever it is. I just want to have a coffee and don't. You'll now treat yourself. But also, it's not just sweets. This is a fun strategy where you could just take time to relax. Put your feet up. You time. A time of treats. I can pamper myself. Gives you time for you. And that's very important. For you need time for you. If you use these 4 strategies to master the habits that I've given you, the 5 habits I've given you, you will find yourself in better health, in better mood, and in better behavior. Now I'm going to close right there. I have the spiritual side, so we'll have to get part 2 next week. But I'm going to close right here and get ready to adjourn this portion